Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Real Talk with Ellasin, and I am Ellasin. And today I have my other whole with me, my hubby, Eric Allen. Thanks for being with me, babe.
Thanks, babe, for bringing me on the show.
Listen, we talk about real issues on this show that affects the church and the community as a whole. And this month, we are going to be taking on marriages. We are on the battlefield for couples, and we have a phenomenal lineup. It is us, the Allens, and then it's going to be Glenn and Cherie books of marriage and parenting successfully. And then it's going to be Kimberly and Ricardo Floss of RFK Foundations, and they also help couples. Okay, but today the Allens, Ellasin is turning over real talk to my sister friend who's going to be kind to us, Jaquita Garrett. Welcome, Jaquita.
Hello. I am definitely going to be kind. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. What's up, Rev? How are you? How are you, Ellison?
We're good.
Good. Thank you
for
asking.
Yes.
All right. So you're interviewing us on today.
I am interviewing you guys today. And I'm going to start with, of course, we're going to be covering marriage or couples who are together but not married, but marriage is what we're mainly covering today. So I'm going to be asking you guys a few questions and you guys are going to answer. So I'm going to be very nice, or as nice as possible.
Okay, it's yours.
It's all mine. Okay. Well, let me start by saying thank you, because I'm sure it's a lot of people out here. We're looking forward to actually having a marriage seminar or a marriage YouTube talk, Real Talk with Ellasin. This is where we do real talk. So let's have a real discussion about marriage. Let's talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the reconcile, how we come together to stay together and keep Christ first in our lives, of course. Yes. So my first question to you guys is, of course, for some that do not know, how long have you all been married?
26.
26 years.
25.
25.
Yeah.
Oh, Ellison.
All right, well, we've been together longer.
Maybe this isn't coming off too good. But okay, 25 years. I'm going to remember that, Rev. 25, not 26. But hey, Ellison, we're speaking it into existence. We're going to make it to 26 and beyond. So that's okay. Also on my end, I want to say that I am married myself, Jaquita Garrett, and I have my husband with me. He's going to be joining as a surprise.
Jeremy!
All right.
What's going on?
Giving a little surprise to you, Eric. I knew since yesterday that he was going to join. So, hey, what is a foundation if it's just me and he's available? So he rushed home to work to make sure he could be here. So I thank you for that. And we're happy to have you. You look so handsome. So he's going to co-host with me, Rev.
Okay. Hey, we appreciate that because, hey, man, I know that's kind of out of your element, but it does mean a lot. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Definitely out of his element. So we're going to keep it moving, and I want you to jump in, babe, if you have any questions. If you have any questions, thank you for providing support to me, especially being your wife. And we have been married, you all who do not know Jeremy and I. This is my husband, Jeremy. I'm Jaquita, and we've been married 20 years come November.
Yes. Can't wait to celebrate.
Yes, looking forward to it. Hopefully a big vacation is involved in it. And of course, we look up to these two as our mentors, our spiritual guiders to help us through things we go through as well. So enough about us. We're interviewing you guys. So we're going to start off with a few months ago, Ellasin and Rev hosted a retreat. A seminar, like a retreat of We Still Do.
Yes.
And it was very successful. So if you guys could tell the audience a little bit about that, that would be great.
Okay. So we still do is an enrichment, and the reason why we said we called it "We Still Do" is because there are several people that we still don't, and they don't anymore. So the mere fact that we're holding on, regardless of 5, 10, 20 years, in your case 25 hours, we still do, lets us to know that, hey, we're hanging in there. We still do. We want to fight for what we know. We want to fight for what we have. And no, we don't have all the answers, but in the process of we still do, we learn the art of fighting fair. We learn about communication, and just basically being there, and what can we be for each other. And I think that's important.
Yeah, it's important.
Definitely.
Because there are times through your marriage when you can't say I still do. So for us to say we still do, we've been through that phase, and we're able to stand here after the smoke clears and say we still do. We still declare, that we're going to be together forever, regardless of what may have happened or what may come. We're going to stick this thing out, and I think that's important because, especially today, there's a lot of emphasis on people doing what they want to do. If they don't want to stay married, most people don't even want to get married no more. So it's hard. It's hard, really, in this day and age, to press the importance of being married when so many people have been through 2 or 3 different marriages.
Yeah.
Correct. Awesome. So hopefully we have some of our viewers here who attended the enrichment as well. My husband and I were a part of it. We thought it was a pretty good success. We enjoyed it. So speaking of, we'll just go ahead and dive right in a little bit to kind of get things going. Speaking of communication and fighting, fighting for your marriage and what you desire, could you both tell me a little bit, starting with Ellasin, what would you say as far as are the top 3 most important keys to maintaining a successful marriage?
Oh, man. Well, yeah, definitely communication. Definitely, there's no room for selfish. We can't be selfish. I think a motto that we had developed is I 100% please him and he 100% please me. We both satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is when we start going, well, I'm not going to do this because he's not doing that. Or I'm not going to, give her this because I'm not getting enough of that. Yeah. So the minute I start coming into there, we're setting ourselves up for failure, because it should not be an I. The only time I should come in is when I am feeling me, so that I can take care of me, so that I can take care of we. You see what I'm saying? It's healthy selfishness. I'm taking care of me, but it's also that I can take care of we. So that's the most important thing. Don't be selfish. You definitely have to communicate, be specific, make sure you're listening. And if you don't understand, let them know I don't understand.
Got you. Definitely.
I think, and it's so funny because that was a lot of our issue. We saying the same word, but the meaning of it is so different, and we was too hard-headed to ask, what are you talking about?
Right. Definitely. Yeah. All right, and Ram, what's your go?
I would say that, just to piggyback off of what Ellasin said, she said 100%. A lot of times people say that a relationship or being in a marriage is 50-50, but that means you've only given half of yourself. It has to be 100. They say keep it 100. You really got to be 100 in your marriage. In order to be 100 in your marriage, you got to give 100% of yourself 100% of the time. You have to be able to conversate, which we talked about, being able to communicate. There's good ways to do it. There's bad ways to do it. And we're all still learning. Yeah. And you also got to be able to have a safe place in your spouse. What I found is that there are times in your marriage you don't have a safe place in your spouse, and you don't feel comfortable talking about certain things or even talking at all.
Right.
And so that's what begins to drive a wedge between the two.
Yeah.
Okay. That was good. That was pretty good. All right. So to me, when you say, you have to be, of course, you can't be selfish in a marriage. But in order for you guys to pour into each other, just piggybacking off what you said, you have to be able to be in a position where you have to be able to take care of yourself in order to take care of your mate.
Yes.
So I do understand that. Communication, of course, I want to kind of go on to it a little deeper. What is considered effective communication and what is considered non-effective communication in a marriage?
Well, for us, effective communication is definitely breaking down what each other is saying. We are from two different worlds. We have two different worlds.
Yes.
We
Our
are
views,
you.
our views are different. So it's so important to make sure we say that we understand each other.
Okay.
Another thing in communication is we have to understand our partner. Now, a woman, right? How was your day? Oh, I got up this morning. I didn't know what underwear I was wearing. I decided on this and I decided that, and I couldn't. And then I had on my white dress, but then I changed it to the yellow dress. And then we 30 minutes in, and we haven't even started our day yet, right? And so our spouse 9 out of 10 times, oh, how was your day?
Good.
Oh, it was good. Yeah, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And we're wanting so much more from them, right? So it has to be a balance. I know he barely communicates, right? So he doesn't like talking. He doesn't like a lot of words. So, and I can talk. So he has to figure out, how do I communicate? And then we balance each other out, if that makes sense. So the balance comes from, I won't inundate him with all my words, and he won't just be yes, no.
Right. Okay. Got it. Do you agree, Ram?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, we come from different places, and there's just times like she would want to, like she said, ask me, even like, well, if I talk to my mother, how's your mom? She good. And she don't want to hear that. She wants to hear the whole rundown, and I'm like, I forgot all of that. Like to me, certain details are they're just there. They're not. Right. I just didn't hold on to them, and I know that's what she wants. So a lot of men, and I can't speak for all men because there are a lot of men that like to talk, and they're good at conversating. Conversation was not a big sticking point for me growing up because my dad was not a person who conversated a lot. So I did not know how to sit down and have conversations with my wife because I didn't really see my dad do that with my mother. I knew my dad loved my mom because because of what he did and the things he provided. And I would hear him say it and what have you. But for me, I learned from what my dad did. And my dad said, if you got to just take care of business. Yeah. If you take care of your business, don't worry about nothing, but you have to take care of your family. And that's what I did. Also, I think outside factors affect your ability to communicate, right? And what I mean by that is how we cope with stress in our life, how we deal with what's going on on our jobs will affect how we communicate with one another. Yeah. And I had a job that required me
to talk like, what you're not going to do is.
But being in the military, we're very direct, right?
Right.
And so I began to talk to my wife and my kids like I talk to the sailors at one aspect, but on the other aspect, I often wouldn't talk at all because I was used to being underway and it just being me. So when you're sitting in a room with somebody, like if I'm sitting in a room with my wife and we're just there for 30, 40 minutes and we don't talk, I'm okay because I'm used to being in a space with a bunch of people and not really saying anything.
That won't work.
Right.
Because I've had to detach from her, you know what I mean, in order to be able to make it while I was out there.
Right.
Okay. Right. And that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And if y'all notice, my husband is sitting here like nodding his head and shaking his head because he was in the military with you as well, Rav. So it was hard for me as well as Ellasin when they would come home. They can sit in a room for 35 minutes, 40 minutes and be content. And as a wife, we're sitting there like, dang, am I not good enough to hold a conversation with? Can you give me a compliment? Can you say something? Can we engage in what happened today outside of work? Or so I'm 100% in agreement with what you said. What do you say, babe?
I agree.
You agree?
I'm fine just sitting there.
And why is that? Is it the same thing with Rav?
Absolutely.
With him growing up in his background?
Absolutely.
So it didn't just start with the military thing. It was prior to the
background. Yeah, family dynamics definitely play a role in it as well too. So
got it.
I did see that comment, and I would like to address that comment.
Was it the one with Gwinsetta where she said, "What about single friends," or was
What
it
about
another?
single friends? Yes.
Okay, awesome.
So,
Okay,
what about single friends? Meaning,
she's
so
asking, "What about single friends? Do you believe, if I'm correct, that's her question. Do you believe being married that it's okay to have friends that are single?" So it's kind of shifting a little bit, but that's fine.
right.
She wants to know what's y'all take on it. What's your take on
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, I have friends that are quote unquote single,
it?
but I don't have any single female friends like that. I would really engage in deep conversation or get close to, if that makes any sense. I have friends that are not married, but I do limit myself in how I access or communicate with them or engage with them because a lot of the things single people do, married folk don't do, or they shouldn't be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Agreed. So what you're saying is it's okay to have single friends, but to an extent.
See,
So I
I think it depends on what your spouse is.
Yeah, I think, and it depends on if we're talking about the opposite sex or the same sex. So let's talk about the same sex. I have single friends. My single friends know my boundaries, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Now, my single friends know I'm not going out. It's not no manhunt or anything like that. They know if we go on a girls trip, it's strictly that. So I
Yes.
believe if you have single friends, you have to have boundaries. My single friends should know not to come over my house dressed any old kind of way. Right. I think that's important as well because you have to respect me as well as my spouse. Right. So
Correct.
having single friends, I don't see a problem. But if I'm out here and I'm acting single, now we're seeing the problem because there's a problem here.
Right.
So if you cause a problem here, then the single friend is clearly it's not the single friend, it's you.
Right.
You're the ones that's doing that behavior. And if it's a friend of the opposite sex, I do have friends that are single that are males. However, none of them are new. Y'all, we've been together 26 years. None of them are new. They're all old. And how am I making a new male friend and I'm married?
That's it.
It's not possible.
No.
There's no, and I know with the military dynamic is so different because you guys should socialize. You should no to a limit. No, I don't need to have your number and access to you outside of here. You know, I mean, and so it's just weird. That's a whole another dynamic with military. But again, we need to check ourselves if we have single friends, and we need to make sure our single friends know our boundaries.
Right, and it's a respect thing as well. So to answer that, Gwen, I think as well too. I think it's okay for me to have friends that are single and unmarried, but of course they're friends of the same sex. So I have friends that's my associates, friends that are my best friends. So like for example, I may have 2 or 3 female friends that are not married, but definitely have met my husband, definitely has come to my home, but very respectable, very well mannered, and we've been friends for multiple years. And so they respect, understand, and know what boundaries are to not come into my household to overly engage in conversation with my husband and not engage in conversation with me at all. That would definitely not be appropriate. It's you setting it's you setting the tone for what a friendship is. And so to answer your question, Gwen, I think it's okay to have me being a female and me hanging out with my friends and going out from time to time and having a good time, but returning home and while I'm out, respect the fact that I am married as well. So to piggyback on that question, how do you guys handle a situation where, let's say, if you have so let's say Rev met somebody, or you met somebody, like you said, you don't engage in having a male friend, but they're new, like with Rev and Jeremy's job. So you're coming across females every day. Sometimes, is it something where you take on somebody like as a mentor, or is that not what you guys have or what you do when you're within your like the ship? Isn't it when you first come to the ship, you have to have am I wrong? Somebody tell me if I'm right.
So like
okay.
Young sailors, when they first get to the ship, or anybody when they first get to the command, there should be a sponsor that welcomes them there. But if you're talking about a mentor, like if they're supposed to pick a mentor, somebody they look up to that can take them under their wing, you're talking about close proximity. You're talking about meeting with them on a consistent basis. You're not just talking about how you deal with work. You're talking about how you dealing with things in life. You know what I mean? I don't think you should have an opposite sex mentor.
There you go.
If you're single and your opposite sex mentor is married, especially, that can't be.
Got it.
I don't think that should be the case, because there's too much of an opportunity for one of you to start to feel something. You know what I mean? I mean, let's just be real. It is what it is. And so you have to protect yourself, you know, because there's a lot of people out there they ain't got no intentions of trying to find a mentor. They're out there for one reason.
Right. Definitely. Okay, I agree 100%. Do you, babe?
Totally agree.
Okay, so we all on the same page at this point. I just was asking those questions. Some people was curious, but while we're on the topic, which I will kind of convert from it soon, and this is Real Talk with Ellasin. So let's talk real talk. I'm gonna be nice, Ellasin, I promise.
Let's get it. We good. We waiting on you.
What do you consider stepping out of your boundaries as far as being married? Like, some people classify having a conversation with someone of the opposite sex not to be cheating, but if they're texting or talking on the phone, some people say if you're not physically if you're not in an intimate relationship with them physically, then it's not considered cheating. What are you guys' take on that?
Do you want me to go first? Okay. So I'm trying to wrap my brain around the whole thing. So I guess some people may think, you know, that I have to have sexual contact in order to be considered cheating, right?
Yes.
However, if I'm engaged in something and I'm engaged in conversation and I'm sharing with this person more than I'm sharing with my spouse, I am now allowing myself to become emotionally connected, and it is a such thing as emotional cheating. So for a woman, say like for a woman or a man, it just depends. Some women think, you know what, if you emotionally cheated, you scarred me more than if you would have just wham bam thank you ma'am, because it was you was more engaged. And some people might think if it was like wham bam thank you ma'am, you know, that hurts me more than engaging. I don't think we should be engaging in if the conversation, if I can't read it, if your spouse can't read it, and if Jesus can't read it, why are we having that conversation with the opposite sex? That's my take.
Yeah,
agree. What's your take, Rev?
Yeah, like she said, you know, there's a point where you get to, if you're having like an emotional connection with somebody, you've already crossed the boundaries. You're already beyond that, you know. And I know a lot of us didn't grow up that way. You know, some of us are going to say, well, I didn't do anything. And if I didn't do anything, that means I didn't cheat.
Right.
But if we're going to be real, and let's talk about, you know, the basis of what we believe is based in scripture. And Jesus tells us that if you even looked at somebody and lusted after them, then you've already done it. You know,
correct.
So the matter is, it's already in your heart. You just haven't acted on it yet.
You
know, so, and I think that's how some people look at it, but the other person may not look at it that way. I think once you converse with your spouse, you got to come to the understanding that if I would engage in any kind of conversation or any type of relationship that's going to bring harm, emotional harm, it's going to break the trust that they have, I have no business being in that situation. Right. And you got to learn to tie your shoes up and learn when to run from those situations, because you're not that strong. Right.
And you know, the whole thing about your question, I think that when we start engaging in some behaviors like that, it's so important for us to check ourselves, because at this point there's something missing. Like what's missing? You know what I'm saying? What's missing in you? What are you missing? But because we lack communication, we don't even tell our partner what we need.
Right.
So now we don't tell our partner what our needs are. Our partner's not telling us what their needs are.
Right.
So we're all being unfulfilled. And here comes, you know, Susie and Jimmy just at the right time. Jody.
Here comes Jody.
You know, here they come just at the right time. And, you know, it is what it is. And I think this is important to talk about, because a lot of young people, and it was something I wanted to share about this young lady she had sent to me, where she was saying the younger generation have so many different challenges than the older generation did. And I agree, because you have all kind of access to any and everything,
Right.
and society almost welcomes open marriages and welcomes infidelity, and what is marriage is just a piece of paper.
Right.
So that's the whole purpose of us on the battlefield, to say no, it's not about you and fulfilling everything you want. When you make this commitment, it's about us.
Right.
And there is consequences to every action.
Yeah, I'm glad you, because when you think about the younger generation, more so than our generation, the way society is going, you can't just worry about a man talking to your wife. You got to worry about a woman trying to talk to her, because for them, a lot of them, it's just like, whatever I'm attracted to, that's what I'm going to get down with, So I agree. They have more distractions and more temptations than probably many older people.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, and that's
Agreed.
real talk.
Agreed. That's definitely real talk. Hey, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it.
Talk about it.
All right. So I'm in agreement with you guys. It's too, you can be emotionally attached to a person outside of having the physical side. Either way it goes, to me, in my opinion, I think it's dangerous. No one in this world is perfect. We all make mistakes. So how do you, if someone is on here listening to Real Talk at this very moment, how do you find a way to help those individuals come out of experiencing infidelity?
Say it one more time.
If they like infidelity, say for example, if they're experiencing it and they're trying to keep their marriage intact, what type of advice could you possibly give them to say, what could they do to possibly work through it? Because of course, once that trust is broken, it's hard to come back from it. But some people have lived and survived to see another day and get through it. And I'm sure it's probably not an easy task, but what could you guys tell them, even if it's on a spiritual level, or where could they go in the Bible to find anything that entails what's going on with their marriage, if their marriage is troubled? That's what I'm actually kind of trying to say.
So if we look at the Bible, the one reason you can actually, get divorced is because of adultery. So if we're looking to the Bible, that's the one aspect of it. To anybody, excuse me, that's attempting to regain trust and rebuild their marriage, listen carefully what I'm about to say. When you break trust, you will never get 100% of it back. That doesn't mean you can't get 99%. That doesn't mean the marriage can't get better if you choose to fight. And the reason why I say the marriage can get better is because clearly there was a problem, and this is why all of this happened to begin with. So it takes two people, right? Not only to say, this is what I want to fight for our marriage, but it takes two people to actually get in there, right?
Right.
And fight for this marriage, right? And whoever the individual was, we have now got to check ourselves and find out, what is it in me that caused me in the first place to step out? Because we can shift blame all we want to. We can say, well, you didn't do this for me. You didn't have enough sex with me. You didn't pillow talk with me. You did, whatever the case may be.
At the end of the day, that's your
decision.
made
the choice.
You made that decision.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things also you have to do is, if you're the individual that has broken the trust, you have to cease and desist any communication, any contact with the individual if you want your relationship to work. First of all, that's the first thing that's got to happen. There has to be a come to Jesus moment. That's what I call it. You sit down with your spouse and you got to hash out. First of all, somebody's going to want to know why, what happened, why. Yeah. But at the end of the day, is this what we want to do? Right. And basically you're going to have to, and I've heard you say this before, I want it, but I don't want it like it is.
That's right.
Okay. So that could be meaning the present situation. That could speak also to the previous situation as to why you felt led to do what you did. I want it, but I don't want it like it is. That's if you want it, what are you wanting? Because I think a lot of times what you're wanting is what was when you first got together.
Yeah.
But if you both have been growing and you have grown apart, that 19-year-old kid ain't coming back. That's not who you are anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want it, but I don't want it like it is. And there has to be working to listen. It's going to be work.
It's going to be work.
It's going to be work.
It's going to be work. It's going to be challenges. And you have to respect the process, because it's not going to just happen overnight.
Right.
So that's what I would say. Want to fight, identify what are we fighting for, identify what is the goal we want for our marriage. And so now you have something to fight for. Because if you say, I want to fight, well, what are we fighting for? Because we was in hell before.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one other thing I would add is, it's going to come up and you're going to be reminded of what happened. But if you can limit, regurgitating the mistake that you did, because it's hard for a person to move forward when you are you constantly reminded of what you've done.
Yeah.
And that goes on both sides.
Yeah.
Right.
Forgiveness.
Oh, I agree.
There has to
100%.
be.
I feel like
true forgiveness.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying true forgiveness, because sometimes we say we forgive. The pain is not going to go away just because we said we forgive, right? So whoever the partner is, it's just not going to go away. So now, can we now develop a relationship to where we can minimize, choose a time to talk about it if we need to talk about it and let it out, and then move on, go through the process of that, because just saying forget it and I don't want to talk about it anymore, that's not going to work. That is not working. You thought you was in hell before? Just say forget it and don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, Ellasin's saying is, of course, through years of being married and just talking, trying to get through things within the marriage, I would say at one particular time, I don't want to talk about it. Oh, okay, Quita, let's not talk about it. All you're doing is taking the dust and the dirt that's set right there. You're sweeping it under the rug, and the pile getting bigger and bigger. Eventually, you're going to trip over your feet and you're going to fall on the rug because you got so much dust under there. So go your butt back in there and talk about it. So I get that from Ellasin, of course, and I'm 100% in agreement. One other thing I want to say I agree with you, Rev, on is the fact of when you're in a marriage and you say you forgive that person, no matter how big or small, it becomes a fight in you as an individual and your battles of what you're dealing with, because one spouse may be way more forgiving than the next. I can say I'm sorry and be done with it and find ways within myself to deal with it. And it could be where he can say, I'm not saying sorry yet because I'm just not sorry yet. You can't make me say sorry if I'm not there yet. So I learned to respect that coming from my husband as well. Yeah. And I agree with him, so you're right. How can I say, well, I said I'm sorry. And then he says, well, I'm not there yet. Just give me some time. I have to respect that boundary because his feelings aren't my feelings. Yeah. So I've learned that over the years. And sometimes I find myself really still being mad and saying sorry. So he's taught me that. And I would say, I'm not ready to say, I'm not ready to say sorry. It's just what it is. I'm not ready to forgive you. Just give me a little more time is what I mean.
Life's too short. Life's too short.
Life's too short. So, but I respect his boundaries and what he feels. And another thing, this is really, really it to say what Rev said.
Wait, let's get to this one. What she asked right here.
I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. How do you deal with unwarranted jealousy? Okay.
Unwarranted jealousy comes from a seed of insecurity in the individual. If they're insecure about themselves or about the relationship, that unwarranted jealousy comes from one or two places. They're insecure about the relationship, right? And that could have been because of something that happened in the relationship, or it could have been something that happened in the past of that individual, and they have an insecurity within themselves. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Yep. Or
so how do you deal with it? How you deal with it?
So both of you guys said in or past relationships, or and insecurity is powerful, regardless if it's the man and a woman, because men can be insecure as well. And it is powerful. So if I'm here and I have this jealousy and I don't know how to deal with it, am I communicating? Right? Number one, if my jealousy is coming from how I feel about this relationship? Am I communicating that to my partner? Am I communicating to, hey, you know what? Some of the things that you are doing is making me feel insecure, right? Some of the things because you know, if you're on your phone and you're on the side and you're talking and I can't see it, and you know, every time I come in the room, you're putting your phone down. Or I'm going to the store and the store is 5 minutes up the block, but you taking 2 hours to come back. So if I'm feeling insecure, am I comfortable enough to talk to you about it? And then, you know, did something happen? So if something happened and now I have this unwarranted jealousy, and now I'm sitting up there saying, okay, how can we fix this? How can we fix this together? I need my partner's help to help me fix this. And as a partner, we should be there with each other, supporting them and letting our partners know there's no reason to feel like this. Right. So what do you have to do to help your partner? And I have to speak.
Yes.
We're not mind readers.
No.
We're not mind readers.
I think if you feel like your spouse or your partner has unwarranted jealousy, like it doesn't make no sense, you got to accommodate them to make them feel secure. There's a reason why they feel that way. And like you said, communicate, get to the point of it. And then you have an obligation to do what you can to make them feel secure in that relationship.
Can I say this to my women? Let me say this, right? I don't know if everybody on here have kids or not, but this real talk with Ellasin. Listen, if you feeling insecure because of all of this plastic running around here, you need to start feeling comfortable in your own body. God didn't make mistakes, and we are who we are, and God made us just how we are. So we need to look at ourselves and just and start loving yourself from the inside out. That's how we deal with insecurities. Because if I love me from the inside out, I'm not going to tolerate anybody else's behavior that don't treat me like I'm all that and a bag of Lay's with a Sprite on the side.
That's it.
But if I'm uncomfortable with me, it's going to show.
Yeah.
So get comfortable regardless if you are 2 or 22. Be comfortable.
Be comfortable.
Yes.
I agree. And another thing too, as you know, what men have to understand, or your spouses, once we have kids, your body does tend to shift, and a woman still wants to feel appreciated just as much before, when she had the Coke bottle shape, and 10 years later, the body starts to gravitate. We still want to feel love. We still want to hear the words of "we fine, we sexy, we got it,"
Yes.
I mean, it's just a natural thing. Go ahead.
But most of the time, well, not most of the time, sometimes you guys are the ones that want, that Coke bottle. We like Gatorade too, baby.
Come on now.
Hey,
come on now.
Nobody want to snuggle with a stick, man.
Yeah.
I got you. I got you.
We got to stay hydrated, baby.
I got you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Hydrate me.
A lot. I mean, and Jeremy, I know you're a man of few words, so I definitely appreciate that, because it helps us. And again, it's all about society, because even our young girls and young guys are attempting to look at, what society says we need to look at, and we're trying to attempt to be like that. But I venture I love being different. Be who you are.
Be who you are,
and wear you well.
That's it. I agree 100%. I like that. I'm glad we're touching points on it. And then too, we have to look at it too. Over the years, men change, and guess what? I still love you. No hair.
Spanx and Victoria's Secret to do wonders.
They sure will.
You know what? I think women have it hardest, because I'll be real with you. Guys get a certain age, they really don't care what they look like. I really don't care.
No.
But women are forced into this ideology of a way you're supposed to look, right? And they expect you to look that particular way from the time you're 18 until you're 88, and that's not reality, man.
No.
It's just not. It's not normal, and so it's harder for women, and we understand that. But if you're a man, you have the obligation to make your wife feel beautiful, make her feel wanted.
Right. Let me piggyback off that. So when we're married, right, and like you said, gravity takes places. You have a couple of kids, things start going in places you ain't think they can go in before, right? So my thing is this:
under your
9 out of 10 times, our partners, and this is one thing I had to learn. My partner loves me for all the things that gravitated down to the south.
That's it. That's
right?
it.
And he loves me for that. He didn't even see half of the things until I kept saying, oh, I'm fat. Oh, look at this right here. Oh, look at this scar. Ladies, no, stop saying, look at this, because they ain't looking at that. They looking at all of what your mama gave you.
That's it.
So I would say that allow your spouse to see you how he sees you, and just keep it moving. So be careful with that.
I agree. 100%.
I have a question. Do you guys believe that your spouse can actually be your best friend?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Because listen to this. Because even best friends don't tell everything.
Mm-hmm.
And some people say, "Oh, I tell my spouse everything." I bet you right now, if I pull open your brain, there's something in there you ain't told your spouse. So stop all of that. I tell my spouse everything, because no, you don't. Right?
I don't believe it either.
It's not like we keeping secrets. You want to know everything?
No.
You want to know? Jerry said no.
I think you can be best friends. You probably start off as best friends, which is probably why you got married. No, you hang up.
No, you hang up.
Three hang up. But yeah, I think they can be your best friend. Are they always your best friend? I probably say for most marriages, no. But I think if you're not in a relationship where your spouse is your best friend, you need to work towards making them your best friend, because that's when you're going to get the most enjoyment. You want to hang around the friends that you like the most, so you need to make sure that you're pouring into your spouse so that your spouse becomes your best friend. Or some people don't even like to be with their spouse. That's just real. They don't want. They've been together for so long. We just want to go along to get along, and we've been here too long, to turn back now. We just in-house roommates, like you said, and you live miserably.
I don't like that.
But you don't have to be that way. Old folks live like that. We don't have to be like that.
So to piggyback off of that, right? Listen, this is something that you have to know and understand. You will fall in and out of love with one another. You just will. And you'd be like, man, I don't even know if I really love them. Listen, that's not the time to go start looking through your phone and on Messenger and whatever else. That's the time to start saying, okay, what's changing around here? What's different? What am I not doing? What's missing in me? What are my needs? Am I being boisterous and telling my what I need from you? Am I pulling on that? Something has changed if that happens. And it's going to happen at least 2-3 times if you marry 40, 50 years.
Yes, Lord.
It just is. But this is why we're saying on the battlefield for couples, because it is a battle. It is a battle. And you know what? Nobody tells us that. Nobody tells us, oh, you're going to fall out of love with your spouse. We're expecting butterflies and twinkle, twinkle, the whole time. No, that ain't going to happen. We got bills. Yeah. We got kids, dogs, mama, family, everybody drama. No. That's
because in our society, y'all, and I'm going to give it back to you in just a second, Quita. That's
go ahead.
In our society, we're led to believe that love is it's a constant feeling of euphoria. I'm always just feeling good and I just love you. That's not what love is, right? That's eros, erotic love. That's just a feeling, okay? True love is agape. True love is unconditional love. True love is not a feeling. It's not a noun. It's a verb. That means when I don't feel good towards you,
right,
I do those things that show that I love you anyway. Because that's what love is. Love is a verb. It's an action. It proves by what it does. Right. It's not always about how you feel. Listen, Jesus, I know some of y'all don't want to hear me preach.
Oh, go ahead, hon. I need to hear you preach.
Jesus, right, loved us so much that he gave his life, right? And the man is to love his wife as Christ loved the church and gave his life for it.
Come on.
Do you think for a moment that Jesus felt good and felt happy about getting on that cross? No, he did not.
Right.
He did it out of an obligation because he loved us with a verb, right? He chose to do it. So, men, when you're in a situation where I don't feel like like we there no more, love her, right? He said to love your neighbor as your friend. Well, this ain't even my friend. We don't even get along. Jesus said, love your enemies. You have to love her, right? That's what we're called to do.
Yeah. Amen. That was good.
Amen.
You told me you would die for me.
I would.
Yeah. Oh, that was
Oh, that's sweet. Hey, would you die for me?
you. That's right.
Why? That doesn't even have to be
Now
a question.
ask me, would I die for him?
We already know we ride or die. We ride or die. We ride or die. And
We
it's
ride or
it's
die. We
important.
rocking it out. Look, he in the middle of the
Right.
street fighting. I'm in the middle of the street fighting too.
Right with him.
You know. But this again is Real Talk with Ellasin, and today I'm hosting, and I have my husband here with me, and we appreciate all your questions. We're here to provide answers, especially Reverend Ellasin. So keep tuning in to find out what you may need to help you with what you having or what you're dealing with in your marriage. So we're gonna continue on. To see where other individuals may need help. So, how do you all handle conflict in your marriage? You know how some people go to bed angry, they go
Now,
days
or you
without
want us to
talking.
start?
I'm sorry.
Now, or you want us to start from the beginning to the
Oh, start from the beginning to show how
Ooh,
you
child.
grow.
Ooh, child. This real.
Be
This
nice.
real
Be nice.
Ellison.
Be nice.
So, y'all hear me talk about family dynamic a lot. I came from a family that we threw down at the drop of a hat.
Oh
If
God.
you was
Okay.
talking too much, we were fighting. If you was
Mhm.
looking crazy, we were fighting. You name it, we were doing it, we were fighting. So, and some of you guys know my background. So being, from a background, where abuse was present, being in a relationship that was abusive. When I got with him, all I knew wasn't nobody gonna talk to me crazy, wasn't nobody gonna rise up too fast. And that poses a problem because I had all his mouth and I was truly disrespecting him. Now I know. Before I was like, I'm standing my own because my mama ain't raised no punk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need nobody's protection. I got me. You know
That's
what I'm
it.
saying? That didn't go over well with us. So we were like, and he hot-headed. So we were like,
Yeah.
bulls in a glass shop.
All in
Right?
water.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we would go to bed mad at each other.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should never go to bed mad at each other. But like you said before, I mean, I'm pretty easygoing, but I can go from laughing and joking to I'm punching you in the mouth. Like and I've never
Not
hit
me. She said me.
I'm letting you know my personality.
I was like,
right?
Now come on.
That's how I used to be. Like so
Right.
I hit my wife.
No.
This whole time we've been together.
No.
I've never punched her,
No.
never put hands on her. But what I will say is I hurt her with my words.
Yes.
Right? And
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that if you come for me, I'm going to annihilate you.
Yeah.
I'm going to scar you forever. You'll
Yeah.
never forget being in a fight with me.
Yeah.
You know, so, but what I did in that situation was I hurt her really bad,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and messed up our ability to be able to communicate. So at the end of the day, you got to learn how to fight fair.
Yeah.
You know,
gotta fight
because you're going to fight. You're going to have
Yeah.
disagreements.
Yeah.
You're going to have arguments. So how do we do that in a healthy way?
So now what we do is we allow ourselves space. Where before, if he would walk away, oh no, you ain't walking away from me. Trust and believe I'm coming after you. And it's going down. I don't care if we gotta be here for 24 hours. It's on and popping, and it don't stop until I say it stop. Like that was
I'm leaving. Where you going? On the porch with my boxes on. You ain't finna go nowhere. You're not going nowhere. So yeah.
Yeah. So that was before. So now instead of just walking away, because that's disrespectful. That's so disrespectful. Now we say something, we say stuff, and whatever y'all words are, but we like, okay, you know what? I need a moment. This not it right now. I need to step away. And by me or him letting us know that we need to take that moment, we're not feeling disrespected and the anger's not brewing because you don't walk. What? You don't turn your, I'm from New York. You don't turn your back on me. You know what I'm saying? So, and especially for a man, when you know how we go, we throw that hand up in a minute and they feeling all kind of disrespected. They going there, top coming off, heat coming out the scalp, and they words are just firing darts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the giving each other space. And look, this is something that we continually practice. I'm still working on getting better at because I got her upset at me not too long ago. Like I generally think she gets upset with me at least 2 or 3 times a week, you know.
Not that often.
You know, but to be real, like how do we deal with those confrontations? Before I would take it like super personal. Like an attack. It's because you tell me something that you don't like. Like, I'm taking that seriously, like straight up personal. And it doesn't even have to be global that way, you know, but a lot of my personality tends to make things that are small extremely large.
Yeah.
And so I'm still working at it, but I've learned that we need when to give each other space.
Yeah.
And when to just, what we're really good about doing now is it doesn't get to that point where the animal comes out of the cage and you can't put him back in.
Yeah.
Once we feel it going there, we both just kind of shut it down.
Yeah.
And she's more self-aware. That's good. She's more self-aware than I am. I'll catch it later, but she'll catch it before. And she's able to use the situation and bring me down before I go there.
Right.
And then I feel like I should have known better. And why didn't I see this before she seen it?
Right. I agree. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, what is marriage without Christ?
You know, to a lot of people, they would think that they do have a good marriage. So marriage without Christ is almost like not having a direction. To, you know, and this is my opinion. This is my opinion. Some people think that they got it going on. I don't need Christ. I got a job. I got all of this. Well, if you have all that, can you imagine how much more you have with him? You know, and what is the glue holding us really together? You know, when we go through our trials and bumps and lumps and everything else, the glue that really hold us together was Christ. Yes. That's what it is. It was him holding us together, because even at a time where we both was like, I'm done. Like, bye, deuces, right? Apartment, whatever. I'm leaving. I'm going here. I'm doing this. You know, Christ was like, no, you're not going nowhere.
I think that's why that, you know, you should not be unequally yoked with unbelievers.
That's it.
When you have Christ in your life in a marriage, you tend to, as Christians, have the same morals, the same values. That's why he said don't be unequally yoked. Because if you're going to get married to somebody that's not a believer, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to have the same moral values that you do.
Right.
Yeah. You know, so those moral values that are based on the Bible, biblically based on Scripture, is what you will revert back to when you guys are like at each other.
Yeah.
Right.
No. So you have to have something that's greater than yourself that you both are engaged in or a part of, because that's good for the relationship, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, and also the whole thing about Christ too is, if we're following what he says, you know, that's not to say we're not going to have hard times, but we have now a source, a solid foundation to help us get through those hard times.
Right.
You know, it doesn't have to be that difficult.
It don't. And you need to understand your purpose for the marriage. Like, those of you that's been married, Quita, Jeremy, y'all marriage means so much to so many people.
Yeah.
It just does. More than you really know. It's people that are close to you, but there's people from the outside that look at your marriage, and you are an example to them.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Your marriage represents God's relationship with his church.
Yeah.
It does. Because the woman is the bride and the man represents God. That relationship is exemplified within your marriage. So do you treat each other the way God treats the church and the way the church is in relationship with the Lord? That's right. How Christ should be a part of your marriage.
Yeah.
Right. Agreed. That's good. Thank you for that. Do you have anything, Dave?
Yeah. What happens whenever one decides to give up, but the other one wants to keep pushing?
In a marriage, when one wants to give up and the other one wants to keep fighting.
So first of all, we need to identify what's the problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because if one wants to give up, what is the problem? Right? Is the problem because we're unhappy? Is it the problem because we feel like we're giving too much and nobody's appreciative? Like, so what is the problem that we're giving up? And that's something that you really have to identify. I would say that, especially if you are in Christ, that you have to continuously pray. You have to. And prayer is for your marriage, yes, but you have to pray for yourself to keep your own sanity and your own spirituality, because now I have this person who I've been with for so long and they're ready to give up. And 9 out of 10 times, the person that's ready to give up, they're not really giving a reason. And because now you're not giving me a reason, if not careful, I can start being angry and resentful, and mad, and all of this stuff and you're thinking I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. I just need to know an answer. What are we going to do? Why do you want to give up? So the person who wants to give up needs to identify why am I giving up? Did we outgrow each other? Is it something we can't fight for? Or is it I just don't want to and I want to live on my own and be by myself? Like, is it somebody else? Because the grass ain't green on the other side.
Yeah,
it's fertilized.
It might be.
It's just a higher water bill. But
it's fertilized with the other stuff.
That's right.
I would say that if you're the one that's, wondering, why does the other person don't want it? One person wants it, one person doesn't. I would say you can't control what the other person does, right? You both have a stop in the marriage and how you relate and how you treat each other. But at the end of the day, we're all responsible for our own actions. And so you can't control what the other person is going to do, but you can control how you react to the situation.
Correct.
So you have to continually be positive. You have to continue to pray for the person that says they don't want it anymore, even if you don't believe in that, but you can't control their actions.
Right.
And I think we get frustrated when we try to control people's actions because we know the way we believe it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
But they haven't seen it yet. That's why you got to pray for them.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would say in praying for them, don't pray, Lord, get them. Lord, make them see. Lord, help them fall in love with you. Because guess what? If they fall in love with Christ, they're going to know how to treat you right.
That's it.
They're going to learn. They're going to know how to treat you right. And you can't control it. Listen, we have a hard time controlling ourselves. How are we going to try to control somebody else?
Right.
We can't do it. We are only responsible for our own role in the marriage.
Right. Agreed. Awesome. Do y'all have anything you guys would like to add that, may be helpful to our audience as a husband and wife, Ellasin and Rev?
What you always tell me go first. How about that? So I do want to say we talked a little bit about that we still do marriage enrichment at the beginning of the talk show, but we are going to have another one coming up, and I want to say it is October, but we definitely will let people know about that. We still do enrichment coming up. Maybe I want to say it's in October. And then also we're going to be doing something specifically for military families as well, because military marriages are way different than their normal marriage. It's just a whole together different world. So we're going to be doing some things with that. I would say continue to fight for your marriage and communicate with your partner, right? Are we worth it? Are we worth it? And that's what we have to ask ourselves. Are we worth it?
Are we worth it?
I would say, just to piggyback on the military marriage thing, we also have a book coming out.
Yes.
We're hoping to drop the book in September, right? Called When the Uniform Comes Off, and it's dealing with those military marriages. And anybody else also, I believe it can definitely help your marriage as well. But I would go on to say that if you're in a relationship and you're struggling in your marriage, listen, your marriage can work if you want it to. And that's what it's got to come down to it. But you have to understand, it ain't just going to happen.
That's right.
Just like your marriage in the situation that got in just didn't happen. Things that you did, the things that your spouse contributed to, got you to this point. So if you really love one another, or you probably wouldn't be together if you didn't love each other in the beginning. It will work if you want it to.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy, but do not give up, because I'm telling you, it's far more damage that's done on the other end when you walk away from a marriage. It's not just you that's involved in the relationship. It's your kids, it's your family, it's everybody that's attached to you that goes through that divorce.
That's right.
Right? It rips families apart. It destroys people's confidence in relationships, and it destroys people's hope that their marriage can make it.
That's right.
Right? It's not going to be perfect, but you work at it, and it can definitely be blessed in the eyes of God.
Yes. I want to talk about our next show next week. Next week on Real Talk with Ellasin, we will be talking with Glenn and Cherie. They're of M.A.P.S. And I believe that it's important to watch this show, because when we are married, we need to have a community. right? We can't do this on our own. Most of us came from families who didn't have marriages lasting long, or they were unhappy.
Yeah.
We don't have to be happy. So Glenn and Cherie of M.A.P.S, which is marriage and parenting successfully, they are going to be on Real Talk with Ellasin next week at 7 p.m. They're going to talk about the marriage as a community. And their favorite saying is, we all need some help. Right? So y'all make sure y'all tune in as well. Queen and Jeremy, especially, I was getting ready to say my nickname for you, but I'm gonna hold on to that.
That's my
that's the little big brother. But we greatly appreciate you guys for taking time out of your busyness, Jay. We know you just got home, so we thank you guys for taking the time out to even, interview us, have your own put, because listen, 20 years in November, don't take it lightly. Don't take it lightly. That is a milestone. And like you said, there are people looking up to your marriage, right? And that's another thing. We don't want to stay married just for everybody else. We want to truly be married and happy in our marriage. However, we have to look at the whole dynamic. Are we giving people hope that marriages can still go on?
Yeah.
Are we giving them that hope? And that's what we are. We are beacons of light, hoping that you can really truly have happiness and have a best friend, Jeremy.
All right.
All right. This is Real Talk. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying go ahead.
All right. This is Real Talk with Ellasin. Again, I am Jaquita, and this is my husband, Jeremy. Thank you, Ellasin and Rev, for allowing us to interview you guys. And of course, I just want to say thank y'all, because having you guys in our life has truly been a blessing. We look up to you guys as well, being new in the military when we were young 20 years ago. Having you all at our side to support us through our highs and lows, and us supporting you guys has been a blessing. So I'm grateful for the 20 years that we have, because I've been knowing y'all as long as we've been married. So I am grateful, and this is a family. This isn't a friendship, and I look forward to many years of continuing what we have as brothers and sisters.
Amen.
Right.
Thank you guys so much for hosting. We appreciate it.
We love y'all.
Thank y'all.
No problem.
All right. Thank you for watching Real Talk with Ellasin and I Am Ellasin. We hope you enjoyed the show on today. Please watch us on next week, coming up at 7 p.m. For the next 2 Thursdays, we are going to be on the battlefield for marriages. Share this YouTube out. Get somebody else. Let them know, hey, we're going to build this community so that we can stand strong on marriages. We're not going to let marriage fail. Amen? Amen. Y'all be blessed. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.